tracing these three objects that you see on the left side of the screen. I did in my document duplicate the objects so that way I can make sure I'm putting the items back where they belong. So when you're doing this, you're going to be using your shape tool and Pathfinder panel, and you're going to be creating what you see here by merging or subtracting your shapes. Now, when you look at this, you're not going to see your typical geometric shapes like a circle, oval, or square, but you have to use your imagination to kind of figure out what shape was used to recreate this. So you can even see at the bottom here, you have another shape here that's kind of like a curved rectangle in a way. So what I'm going to start with is the cup. And I'm not going to include the tag or the handle. I will go back and add those. Right now I'm going to just focus on the cup itself. Okay, so I'm going to do that by creating a circle. And one thing you want to do when you're tracing, like we're tracing for this, is shut off your fill and only have a stroke. Another recommendation is to use a color different than what your object is. Okay, so that you can see it. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to adjust my circle to make sure it looks similar to what's there. If it's slightly off, that is fine. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take another circle and I'm going to try to match the top of the cup. And it's okay if it's slightly off because we are doing this in a more difficult way. The easier way to recreate this would be the pen tool, but we haven't gone over that yet. So for today's lesson, you know, it's okay if it's like slightly off, but you can see I was able to actually outline the cup. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my two shapes by holding shift and clicking on both, and I'm going to do minus front. Oh, actually, hold on. Not minus front, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm going to do intersect. There we go. And I'm going to switch it so you can see it did create this outline shape. Again, if it's not perfect, that's fine. We want to get it as close as we can. Okay? And I'm going to put this here for now so it's not in my way when I'm tracing over my picture. Okay. Now the next thing to do is create the handle. Okay, so again, I'm going to make a circle with no fill, only a stroke. And then I'm going to take this circle, I'm going to make another one. And I'm going to scale it down, minimize it a little bit. And because there's no fill, it's a little harder to pick it up, so just keep that in mind. Okay, I got my shape here, and we're kind of creating the shape of a D. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a rectangle, square shape. I'm going to angle this. And I'm going to actually move this outside piece of the handle away for now. And I'm going to just line this up with where I want to cut out the circle. Okay, and now I will do minus front. Okay, and I'm left with that shape. Now I will put this here, and I'm going to click on this other shape that we made, the D shape, and I'm going to do minus front. Okay, now I'm going to put my cup back here. Okay. And I'm going to select both this shape and this shape. I'm going to pick, actually, hold on. I want to make sure that this shape is not cutting it off the wrong way. Okay, like that. And I'm going to, it's okay that it's like that. Again, if I was doing this, I could do this another way, but for this, I'm just going to unite. And now this is what I have so far. Okay, if you need to tweak, you know, the size, you can do that. But that's how you do that. And then you take your rectangle tool. You're going to trace this shape right here. Okay, you're going to make two more shapes. I'm going to make another rectangle. And I'm going to move that up here. That is the height of the shape and the width. Okay. And then I'm going to actually make this a little lower, okay? What I'm going to do is, you can do this by actually making a triangle, but I'm going to do this a different way. Should be fine to do it this way. Actually, maybe not. You know what, let's try it with the polygon tool. I'm gonna do 3 sides, okay? So yeah, I would do it this way, I think. The other way it didn't work, it was too big. So I got my triangle, and you gotta make sure when you're doing stuff like this that you're overlapping, okay? Otherwise it will not add to, so I'm gonna zoom in so I can make sure that this is being added to the shape that's underneath. Okay, select both of them, unite. Oh, and see, that's what happens when you don't make it exactly overlapping. So see if this was enough. Nope, it's still not enough. So what's happening is because it's meeting at the edge, it's not putting them together like that, okay? So now I'm going to take make sure that this is lined up correctly. Okay, I want to see what this looks like. Make sure, okay. And now I'm going to add these together, okay? And then I'm going to take my circle that's there. And it's not a cutout, so we don't have to worry about cutting it out. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out, make sure that this looks good, and I'm going to add to selection. So now I have my cup outline, and I have the tag. Okay, and I'm going to move that over. There we go. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create this bottom shape. As best as I can. Okay, I'm going to take a rectangle. And you're going to have to make 2 of these. So you can make 2 if you want right away, or you can do it as you're doing it. First thing I'm going to do is it's on an angle, so make sure when you do this it's on an angle, and make it wide enough that it covers, you know, this spot. We're gonna do, and actually I'm gonna make a copy of that. So actually I'm gonna move this away, okay? So I'm gonna make this first, okay? There we go, minus front. Okay, so I made two overlapping circles. Then I'm gonna take this one, minus front again, then this one, and this, minus front again. Oh, make sure this is on top. Okay, minus front. There we go, I got my bottom shape. It's a little bit off, but that's okay. You can play around also with the like scaling, and it might fix, you know, what it looks like. So like this, okay? And now you gotta draw your cat. So far we have the cup. It did take a good amount of, like, you know, adding and stuff like that. Now we're gonna do our cat, okay? So first things first, I'm gonna make a circle. Again, you're envisioning what does the cat look like, okay, when you make this. If you just go in by just trying to combine a bunch of shapes without having any kind of, this is what I have to do, then you're gonna be very confused. You know, you have to kind of look at the shapes that you see, you envision are in here. Okay, so I have this so far. Now, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take my circle. Let me think, how can I do this? I wanna cut out some of this. So I'm gonna actually take the circle I just made. I'm gonna line it up to this part of the cat's ear and the neck. So that means I'm gonna make this smaller, okay? And I'm gonna do minus front, which is gonna take up away part of the cat, that's fine. Now what I want to do is I'm gonna make another circle. Hold on, let me think. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just make a big selection for now. Minus front, oh, sorry, intersect, okay? Why did I do that? I did that because I wouldn't get the shape that I really wanted the other way. Now, what I'm gonna do, I might end up having to undo this. Actually, you know what? Okay, sorry. I'm gonna make a copy of this just in case. I always like to have a backup in case I make a mistake, I can go and fix it, right? So I'm gonna go like this. And because I don't have my fill on, it's giving me a little bit of a problem, that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna do intersect from. Okay, and I'm gonna put this over here. And now, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna drag, nope, hold on. How can I get this piece? You know what? I know exactly what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'm gonna move the piece I just made, this little piece, and I'm gonna take my rectangle. I'm gonna angle it like this. I'm gonna do minus front. I'm not minus front. Intersect. Keep on mixing up for some reason. So now I got my shape here. Okay, and I'm gonna unite. Okay, got that so far. Now I make my next circle. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in. Unite. Okay, I'm gonna make, and I'm gonna do this twice because I don't like how my ear came out. So I'm gonna make one ear here. I'm gonna take another one, another of the same shape. I'm gonna minus front. I'm gonna do it again to go over here. Play around with the direction like that. And I'm gonna go unite. Okay. I see a little mistake I made, but that's fine. I'm gonna leave it. You guys, when you're doing this, you'll do it a little bit better than I'm doing it. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna make another circle over here that lines up with the back of the tail. And you might have to play around with, you know, this part. Okay, so I got my two shapes here. I'm gonna unite them. Okay, I'm gonna take this shape, make it slightly smaller. Oh, actually, yeah, it's fine. I'm gonna do it like this. I'm gonna try to match this up. Okay, I'm gonna try let's try, no, there, okay, minus front would be the right one. See, sometimes I forget or I get distracted or confused on what I need to do. Okay, so I'm gonna make another circle and unite. I'm gonna make another circle, okay. Let me think. Okay, I'm gonna make another circle and another circle. And I know this is a little confusing, I'm sorry. I'm gonna make these two circles. I'm gonna do minus front to get this little crescent shape. Okay. I'm gonna make another circle. And I'm gonna put this back up here. I want to get it over here so I can cut it out. Okay, let's see, not minus front, intersect, yeah. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller, and now I'm gonna take all these shapes I just made and I'm gonna unite. Okay, and I'm gonna unite this one. I drop, zoom out, and there's my cat. Okay, so it's really just about combining and subtracting and trying the different options here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually turn these into this, and there we go. And that's how you would make it. It is a lot of playing around and trying things and undoing. As you saw, I did trial and error, and the same thing goes for you guys.